So TACS. So TACS is basically an enhanced version of an electronic time clock. It allows the districts to capture the times that employees work, the leave that they use, and to manage time cards and absences. It also encourages employees to be accountable to their time work and saves time for both the employee and the manager that is maintaining that employee's time, all the while leaving an audit trail. Because of this, it ultimately saves the district money. TACS is web-based, so that means that there is, when there's a new version of the software, it gets updated on the TACS server. There's no need to update every time clock or every computer when there is an upgrade. Know where your employees are. Even if you have people like your Cert 10s that are not required to clock in and out, some districts do prefer for them to at least clock in to know that they are where they're supposed to be on time. And the clock in and clock out process is really fast and really simple. TACS is also very customizable for your district needs. Each district has different needs, and we can accommodate those needs as needed. I think one of the biggest features is there's no double keying. All the employee information comes from one system. It comes from like Sunpack or K-12 Enterprise, and it flows down to TACS. There's two parts to TACS. There's a time clock, and then there's the manager piece. This is a time clock. It's super easy for an employee to clock in or out. They simply put their ID in and they press enter, and then they can go on about their business. They can also use like a barcode scanner or other input devices as well. As you can see here, you can also broadcast messages to the entire district, but you can also do messages to a certain group of people or even down to an individual person. So once they clock in, we can have it set so then they can have some time to look at their clock-in screen, but we can also set it where once they clock in, they can go and it will go return automatically back to the sign-on screen. Here you can see that it's very clearly marked at the top and also in the middle of the screen that they're being clocked in or they're being clocked out. The leave balances that you see at the bottom of the screen can be shown or it can be hidden depending on the district's preferences. And then at the very bottom, for this particular person, we have a message saying happy birthday. So the second piece of TACS is actually the tax manager. Here, the bookkeeper or the administrator will maintain the employee's time and their absences. Here, they're also able to run their reports such as timesheets. TACS is really easy to review employees' time. You can check for errors like not clocking out, or you can check for warnings where there's maybe too much or too little time, and that's based on your standard hours. You can even check for time cards that are pending for review after an employee edits their time. And that's if the district allows that. And I'll go over that option in a little bit in more detail. So here's an example of an employee that worked too much time and too little. And that's more or little than their standard hours. And you can also see where they are missing a timesheet as well for a few days. With TACS, it's really easy to review an employee's time. You can check for the errors, like I said before. Here showing you that this person forgot to clock out. I was going backwards. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so if they did forget to clock out, you simply click on that link and it takes you into the time card itself, and you see where I highlighted is error to clock out. You can simply put in the time if you know the time and save. If someone's totally missing a time, then a time card for a particular day, then you can just add one here. When you add an absence, you can add an absence with or without substitute information. Here we're doing it with without the substitute information. When you add time either as a time card or as an absence, you can do a start or end time, but you can also just use your standard hours or a half day, or you can simply put in how many hours and minutes that they work. With the absence, you just choose your leave type and your leave reason, and then put a comment in. If you need to put an absence in for a group of people, for such as a holiday or something like that, you can do a mass absence. What you would do here is you would select your criteria and then post an absence for a particular date range for all those people that are inside of that criteria. And what's a time clock without reports? TACS has a variety of useful reports that a bookkeeper or administrator can run. Some of the examples here are like your timesheets, or if somebody's missing a time card for a particular date range, or when you can tell when employees are clocking in or out early or late, or run a report for leave balances. And there are a lot of reports. So here's a sample report of the timesheet. At the top, you can see where they clocked in and clocked out. And then the next week, apparently, they had an annual leave. Again, tax is customizable. So at the bottom, you see where the leave balances. You may or may not want to display that on the timesheets. And for those who have been on tax for a while, TACS 2017 is full of enhancements. I think this is probably the biggest release of enhancements that we've had in a really long time. One of the things that we've done is that we've overhauled the timesheets. It now has new grid lines to enhance the readability of the report. We also have times where they're italicized or bold. The italicized means that they were edited in the time card review or the manager clock in, clock out programs. Bold means that the time was edited by the employee edit time program. So there's new parameters, and with those parameters, there's more flexibility. We moved a lot of the parameters that we had under the employee maintenance into a single area. There are three groups. There's a pay group, reporting group, and a job type that controls these parameters. And it basically takes 3 yeses for that particular feature to work. And I'll go over that in more detail in a second. So here I was showing the leave balances on the timesheet. You can control this by the entire district or by a group of people, depending on how you have those parameters set up. So how do these parameters work together? To enable a feature for a group of people or a person, the pay group and the job type and the reporting group must have the feature checked as active. So for instance, here for clock out to be required for this person, um, you have to have the pay group, which is teach, and the job type, which is cert 10, and your job reporting group, I'm sorry, your reporting group, they all have to have clock out required checked. If they don't, then this particular employee would not have to clock out. Um, Under your system parameters, we've added a pay group date. And this is a new parameter. This parameter will need to be set up each month or each pay period or pay run to control the approval dates and the time card export dates. Any time cards that have been exported prior to this date, that haven't been exported prior to this date, will be exported. Any time cards that are before the current pay run will show as on an exception report, and any time cards that are beyond the pay run would just sit there in some pack until that particular pay run is opened. So what is the approval cutoff date? Basically, this is a new feature that we've added, so then we can keep people from approving their time cards, either the bookkeeper or the employee, until the bookkeeper is ready for the employee to adjust their time. For example, you may want the time card cutoff date to be on Friday. Well, you may want the approval date to be Wednesday, so then they can't edit your Thursday and Friday time cards until you're ready for them to do so. So the time card cutoff date, this is also a new parameter. I will show you in a few minutes where we've moved the date range from the time card export to here. This will control which time cards will be exported. Any time cards that are past this particular date will not be exported. And you do have to come in here on a monthly basis and change it as needed. So among the other enhancements, we've tried to just kind of clean up what tax looks like. Here's one example. We have taken the employee maintenance screen and kind of centered it into the screen, and so everything's kind of centered where in the old versions it was not. We've also have added both the code and the description for your reporting groups and your job types and your pay groups. This will not only help us when we try to assist you, but it also will help any new staff members that may not be familiar with your codes, with school codes and your school names. Under the employee maintenance on the assignments tab, we have added the current activities. You can now see how many hours that have been worked or used as leave for this particular assignment for the week or since the last time tax exported time cards. You'll notice those who've been on tax, you'll notice that the show leave on time sheet and the clock out required has been removed from the screen. That's going to be controlled with those three parameters that we were talking about earlier under the paid groups and the job types and the reporting groups. So on the employee maintenance screen under the leave tab, we have the current leave balances as well. The leave balances are since the last time it exported. I'm sorry, your leave used is what has been used by tax for that employee that has not been exported to your host payroll system like SunPack. Depending on how you have it set up in Sunpack, the beginning balance can be as current as the previous day's balance. Typically, though, it's the balance that is seen on employee's paycheck stub. And that beginning balance gets imported on a nightly basis from Sunpack. So with time card review, the reporting group selection box has been enhanced to show both the code and the description. We've also added the pay group as part of the criteria selection. We've also changed the list by. Instead of a drop-down, is now radio buttons. And you'll see these kind of changes, these same changes throughout TACS. Under your mass absence posting, we have now put in the location in the pay groups as well as the reporting groups and the job types. And as you can see here, it's both the codes and the descriptions. The AM and the PM selections are now radio buttons instead of the drop downs. And the show detail button that was at the top, which didn't really make a whole lot of sense as far as the flow of how you enter a mass absence, we've moved that down to the bottom. So once you click on the show details, it looks a lot different than it used to. We've now added 2 columns where it shows the standard hours of the employee's assignment and also how many hours we are applying to that particular assignment for the absence. So you can see here, like some of the standard hours are like 2.5 hours. We're going to apply only 2.5 hours. Now that doesn't mean that you cannot change that, but by default, we are only doing it up to the standard hours. So I'm sure some of the users that have been on TACS for a while, they've entered mass absence for the wrong day or wrong set of days, and you've had to call me and for me to avoid it through the database. We've now put in a program where you can do that yourself. So if you make a mistake and do a mass absence for a wrong set of days or a wrong set of people, you can go back and void those time cards now. Under your reports, we've done a major change on the criteria screen for the employee leave usage report. This is what it looked like in the 2014 version of TACS. And here's what it looks like in the 2017 version of TACS. We've enhanced it to allow the user to select multiple locations, pay groups, reporting groups, and job types. Previously, the user was only able to select one pay group or one reporting group at a time. We're now giving you the ability to purge exported time cards. By the default, the cutoff date is going to be a year prior to today's date. But you can change that to whatever date you need. And again, this will only purge or get rid of time cards that have already been exported. We also put in a program to allow you to purge expired assignments. So if you want to clean up some of the old assignments that you have in TACS, you used to not be able to delete them out of TACS, but now you can. Again, the default cutoff date is a year prior to today's date, and you can select your locations, pay groups, your reporting groups, and your job types. Before you can purge a expired assignment, you have to get rid of all the time cards that are associated with that particular assignment. So you would want to run the time card purge before you did this. So here's your export time cards program. As you can see now, it does not have a start and end date. That was moved to the paid group dates. So remember, each time you do a new run, you will need to change that on a monthly basis or whenever your pay dates are. The rest of it is pretty much the same. You select your pay groups, your reporting groups, your locations, your job types for what you want to export. We've also, for the reports, we've added to display reports in PDF format. So here, remember, you must set these dates for every pay run, your cutoff date and your approval date. If you're not using the approval program, you can just set this date to infinity and you won't have to worry about it. Or if you don't care when people can improve their time cards, you can just set it to a future date. So there is a new import that we have that will import time cards and leave information from other time clock systems such as Kronos. The import uses the same file structure as the speed import programs, so there's no changes that need to be made by other time clock systems. One thing I meant to say about this too, the imported time and leave will appear on the timesheets along with any other time that was created in TACS. So once you import the time from another system, that time now belongs, for lack of a better word, belongs to TACS. Once it's in TACS, then the bookkeeper can edit the time if need be. The employee cannot, though. So there's also a new export. This export program will allow you to export the employee information to another third-party time clock system. Again, this kind of goes back to the no double keying. You don't have to double key a new employee's information in Sunpack or K-12 Enterprise or and then TACS and then a third-party time clock system. This option will run like on a nightly basis in the background, but you can also do it on demand like you do the import from Sunpack. And the layouts, again, would be the same layouts as what's in Speed. Okay, so earlier I kind of mentioned about edit time and approval. These are two new add-on features in TACS 2017. The edit time feature has actually been there for a while. It's just never really been used. And part of the reason is because it was either all or nothing. Either the entire district had to use it or no one used it. So what this allows you to do, this feature will allow the employee to be able to edit their time or add an absence for a day. Basically, it keeps the bookkeepers from having to go chase down an employee and say, hey, you didn't clock out yesterday. What time did you clock out? Or you didn't put a time, you didn't clock in or out yesterday. Were you sick? So it kind of takes some of the work off the bookkeepers and put it back on the employee. That being said, it will not, and I stress, it will not allow an employee to edit a complete time card. So if they punched in and they punched out, they can't go back and change their times to whatever they want them to be. This simply is really trying to help out the bookkeepers with their work. To get to edit time, the employee can go to the time clock and click on edit time. Also, when they clock in, if there are time cards that need to be looked at, it will alert that employee as well. So basically, what triggers time cards to be needed to be edited? It's basically, for those who are familiar with tax, it's any warnings or any errors. So if somebody didn't clock out, that's an error and that would be flagged. Or if there's a missing timesheet, then that will also be flagged. So once they click on edit time, or when they clock in and TACS asks them, do you want to edit your time now? And they click yes, they'll be brought to this screen. As you can see, this particular person had a lot of missing time cards. So they would just simply click on one of the dates, and they can put in a leave card or absence card, or they can enter the time if they forgot to clock out. Now, once they've edited their time, that time card still is not valid until it gets approved by the bookkeeper or administrator or whoever manages their time. On the tax manager side, under time card review, you'll see pending, and that's what that will capture. It'll capture all the people who have time cards out there that have been edited, but not have been approved. The edit has not been approved by their manager. When you run time card review and you run it for just pending, you'll see time card, like in this example, it'll say pending, employee entered or edited time that needs to be approved. So then the bookkeeper would come in here and they would change the employee edit status from pending to either approved or denied. We've also added two comment fields. The internal comments at the very bottom, it was your comment field in the prior release of TACS in 2014. We've added two more. One's called manager, one's called employee. Manager cannot type in the employee comment field. You can see that it's yellow. It can only be in the manager comment field. The same goes for the employees. The employees can't type in the manager's comment field. And what this allows the district to do is allows the manager and the employee to converse back and forth with each other. So the employee can put in their time card, yeah, I forgot to clock out, sorry, and the manager says, well, this time doesn't seem like your normal time, and then they can converse back and forth until it's approved. So the second add-on feature is approvals. And sometimes I kind of get confused myself when we talk about approvals. I'm not talking about approving those time cards that were edited. This is actually approving the time cards itself. We can now have it where time cards can be either approved automatically like it has been, or you can have it where just the manager needs to approve them, or just the employee needs to approve them, or both the manager and the employee needs to approve them. In the master parameters, you'll see a drop-down that's called time card approval sequence. and that will allow you to choose how you want people to be approved. Either, again, you can do the employee or manager or employee and manager, and you can do the employee first, or you can do the manager first, or you can do it where it doesn't matter. Either one can do it first. The approval cutoff date that I was describing earlier, under your pay group dates, that controls when they can approve their time cards. So they can approve time cards that are dated from 9/24 in this example or earlier. Anything after that, they cannot. So how does the employee approve their time cards? They go to the time clock and they click on approve time card. Once they do that, it'll ask for their badge number, and they click OK. And this is what it looks like in their approval screen. So here, you see on the left-hand side, you see some time cards have been approved and some haven't. Right here where it says select a time card category, you can either do either approved or not approved, or just approved ones, or ones that haven't been approved. In most cases, you probably want to do just ones that have not been approved. And you can also select all of them at one time and then unselect the ones that you don't want to be approved. So employee can say, okay, yeah, all these time cards are good except for this one. So they could actually do like select all and then unselect the one that they don't agree with. So on the tax manager side, the bookkeeper or the manager or the administrator, their screen is going to look very similar to the employees as well, except for they have criteria that they need to select. So up here you have a particular pay group that you want to look at. You can even break it down to a particular employee and then the reporting groups and the job types. Another new feature is the badge number. The badge number has always been in TACS, but it was controlled within TACS. Now that control has been moved to SUMPAC, and you cannot change the badge number in TACS. By default, the badge number is going to be the same as the employee number, unless it's changed like it's shown here. So the employee number here is 36, and the badge number is 1111112. Here on the tax side, you can see the badge number. So you can look people up either by badge number, employee number, name, or social security number. SUMPAC will have a import program where you can import a flat file, like a CSV, a common delimited file, that has the employee number and the badge number. So you don't have to input the badge number if it's different from the employee number for every single person. So we've been testing a lot. I've been testing a lot on this TACS 2017, and we are almost ready for a beta testing, which we're going to do at the end of the month. Then a month or two later, we're going to release it to everyone once we figure out if there's any kinks that we need to work out. And that's all I have. Let me look at some, I see some questions here, but I can't read them. I can put the webinar out there for you, or you can email me and I'll send it to you as well. I'm sorry, the question was, will this webinar be on the website, or can we print this? And I will make it available to you. Any other questions? I've recorded this webinar as well, so I can give that to you, and I also can give you the PowerPoint. Just ask me. All right, well, there's no other questions. I appreciate your time. We kind of flew through this. So if you have any questions that you can think of later on, feel free to email me or put a ticket in, and I will get back with you. Oh, hold on. I do see a few other questions. I'm sorry. So the question was asked, do the employees have to be able to edit their time? No, that's totally optional. Again, you can also define who can do that. So you may want your cert 10s to do it, but not your cafeteria staff. The question was asked, do we have to use K-12 Enterprise, which is the window-based version of SunPack, as she put it, to use TACS? And no, you can be on K-12 Enterprise or you can be on SunPack. Hey guys, I think I got all the questions answered. Again, if you have any more questions, just email me. Have a great day.